Good morning, everybody.
Hey, hey,
Welcome
everybody.
to Virtual HorrorCon 2021. Thank you so much for joining us very early this morning. It is
Very.
8:02 a.m. in Chicago, so we are very, very excited to come hang out with you. And before
Yes.
we get into it, I just wanted to mention, because it's going to come up a lot, um, Virtual HorrorCon is sponsored by Drive-Thru RPG, the number one place to get your RPGs, and also Astral Tabletop, which is virtual tabletop to take your games out of this world. I just made that up. That's not their tagline, but that's totally fine.
Yeah,
It should be, actually.
it should be. That was like really sophisticated and shit. Wow, good job,
Yes, of
man.
course. So thank you so much, everybody, for jumping in and hanging out with us today. So yeah, we should probably get started with some introductions. So my
Yeah.
name. Oh, do you want to go first?
No, I'm fucking getting ready. You
Okay,
go. You
okay,
go.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
going. Okay.
Yeah. I'm making
Well,
sure all the cat hair isn't going in our pizza.
well, as Mike has revealed, we are making pizza. I will dive into that a little bit more once we get done with introductions. If you're just joining us, my name is Meredith Gerber. I am the Drive-Thru RPG Century Publisher Relations Representative. I'm also Assistant Art Director for Onyx Path Publishing, and I am the social media coordinator for Yesford Games, which is an indie video game publishing company. And I am here with my awesome husband.
Hey, I'm Mike Tomasek. I also go by the name Hollywood. And I'm drinking coffee. Pro, product. Starbucks hire me. No, actually. Well, actually, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. So hey, yeah, I'm Mike Tomasek. I am a freelance writer and developer. I am also the owner, CEO, best person in charge. I don't know of Little Twin Publishing. I haven't given myself a title yet. I don't know. And yeah, uh, I make games. That's what I do. So that's kind of thing. So that's yeah. And today I'm making you a pizza.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So, as Mike stated, he is making a pizza. So, to give a little background as to why you're watching a cooking show at 8 o'clock in the morning, last year, Mike and I did a panel for Chicago by Night, which Mike wrote on, and I did the title font for. This is one of the projects we did together. And it was such a success because we had so much fun. So Mark over at Gehenna Gaming and Ian had jokingly suggested we do a cooking show, and I do not do things in halves. So 100%, I was like, absolutely, we're doing that. So that's why we're here. And specifically, we are going to be cooking from Mage 20th
The
Anniversary
Mage
Edition
20th anniversary cookbook. Yeah.
cookbook. It also has a sister book, which is the Werewolf the Apocalypse cookbook as well. And I have to say, I've never checked out the cookbooks before, but I definitely was really excited because they're thick boys. Like they're
Yeah.
not small. Because I was expecting them to be like maybe 5 recipes and like a ficlet, but like there's tons of recipes in here. And the
Mhm.
one that we are making today is this one. Can you see it?
No, not at all,
Okay,
dear. But that's
great.
okay. You can read it.
It's it's the pizza bianca with caramelized onions and provolone dolce on page 108, and I will link those shortly while Mike gets ready.
Yes.
And
We are
just
going to modify this recipe a little bit because certain things went horribly wrong. Like all of our onions all of a sudden just magically fucking disappearing.
yes,
This is the wonder of the pandemic. So
yeah,
basically what we're going to be making instead is a white pizza. But I
which is my
mean,
favorite.
it's going to be fun. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be great.
Yes,
This is
absolutely.
what happens at 8 a.m. in Chicagoland when you're trying to make pizza on screen. It's going to be great.
Yes,
So
of course. And of course, during this time, if you have any questions about freelancing, I've been doing it since I was 22. And Mike's been doing it for a couple years too. If you have any questions, please put question in very large letters. Capital is what I'm looking for. Please put it in capital letters and then ask your question. We're happy to answer it. Otherwise, we're just going to talk at you for an hour, which is going to be pretty fun. So, Mike, let's get started because I've been talking a while. Can you tell me like how you got into freelancing and how you have taken freelancing to owning your own company?
Sure. Yeah. Well, let me start by throwing down some flour here on this table because we gotta get this stuff in the oven. So I'm gonna put down some flour on this table, just so you know. And then also here's my dough. Look at that. Mare made it. It's so
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Um, so how did I start freelancing? Well, one gentleman by the name of Matt McElroy was like, "Hey, I know you like Geist. Would you like to write on something that has to do with Geist?" And I was like, yeah, because I ain't no fool. And I actually never thought I was going to be a writer. Like I never like went out and was like, yeah, I'm going to be a writer. That was not my intention. I'm not going to lie. I thought I was not good enough to write. I'm sure a lot of creatives have that same kind of feeling out there, right? And right now I'm just getting the dough out and just kind of spreading it around, just so you know. Just so you know, if dough, when it's colder, if you're spreading dough out and it retracts in,
Hmm.
it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just let it wait for a few minutes. You're going to be fine. The dough will kind of loosen up and slacken out, and you'll be able to stretch it. So don't worry. If you're making a pizza along at home, because of course you knew that we were making pizza, of course. The other thing about freelancing, well, like I said, I didn't really think I was going to be good enough to write or anything along those lines, and but I tried out, and I was able to follow the directions for Onyx Path, and I was able to kind of figure, like, write a story basically. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. Like, I just kind of talked to people after that and was like, oh, like other people were nice enough to teach me things about freelancing, and like Monica and Matthew and other folks that were they just kind of gave other folks from Onyx Path and other freelancers and stuff, and they kind of gave me information and taught me how to do things. And I am standing on the shoulders of giants making pizza at 8 a.m. Because of freelancing. so I mean, like, follow your dreams, kids. What's a cooking show without some weird like life information, like of like you can get out there and make yourself some pizzas and apply for freelancing.
You
Does
should.
that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the points I want to highlight is when getting into freelancing, Mike attended a lot of conventions as well. Conventions are not the only way to network. It's
No,
not
they're
the
not.
only way to network. It is one of the many ways to network. So just keep that in mind. If you are looking to start out, obviously we can't go to conventions right now, but you're attending a convention right now, which is
Oh
pretty
shit!
rad.
Look at you! Look at you
Uh,
do it at 8 a.m. watching watching this jagoff fucking make pizza in his kitchen. It's great.
yeah, it's fine.
Welcome
It's
to
fine.
conventions. You're having a really good time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of important, was kind of putting yourself out there. A lot of times I tell freelancers, like, if you want to get into the industry, you definitely want to put yourself out there. It's super important. There's a ton of ways to do it. There's no, like, I mean, there are wrong ways, but there's not like
Don't be a
a
jerk.
right way. Yeah, don't be a jerk. That's my biggest one, is don't be a jerk. Because if you're not a jerk, then I want to work with you.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. That is from
What's your question?
Avis Rocket. Avis Rocket? Avis Rocket.
Totally.
Okay, question. Is there a more professional way to ask for feedback? I know folks are super busy, so I know not to pester people, but do you know anywhere to critical feedback for your work?
That's a really great question.
It's a really good question.
I like that. So obviously, if you're doing freelancing, most of the time places will give you your revisions or your red lines, and kind of give you that creative feedback while you're doing the project, right? I mean, it's kind of baked into the process. The funny thing is, a lot of times when I'm freelancing, I don't trust myself. I'm not going to lie. There's times when I just don't trust my work. And I have my friends play test my ideas. I thankfully have a really good social network friends, my peeps, my group, and they listen to me ramble on in stories about bullshit about stuff. Like, I basically just play test rules, and they give me feedback. They're honest and they're open, and they're like, "Hey, that sucked," or "Wow, that was really cool." And uh, Also, you can do the same thing with your peers. If you're a freelancer, start making friends. Make friends with your peers, and kind of go, hey, could you look at this? What do you think about it? Because steel sharpens steel. People, we are always better when we're working together for a project or for a thing. It's never good when you're on your own. I mean, you can do solo work. I'm not saying it's not bad, but it's just that it's always good to get another reference.
Yeah,
That kind of thing. Cool.
absolutely. And the
Just
build
so you know,
on.
I threw some pepper on here. I'm gonna throw some olive oil on here. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
What kind of pepper are you putting on there,
I'm
sweetheart?
just putting on some whole cherry pepper, from a grinder. And put some olive oil on right now. Because it's a white pizza, so you're gonna have to need some sort of fat or something like that to kind of liven it up. Otherwise, you're just eating bread with cheese on it, and that's kind of gross. I'm not gonna lie.
Not with that attitude.
You're
To
weird.
also,
You're
I am.
just fucking weird. Okay,
I
I
am
that I don't even know why I'm fucking white pizza. I'm weirded out by
so
it.
good.
I'm part Sicilian. I like red sauce. People
Whereas
that don't
I'm
like red sauce, I get confused.
whereas I'm Calabrian, so but it's fine. Anyway, so
I'm Calabrian too, but I don't.
yes.
I like red sauce. I'm just saying.
So something that is also important is it depends on the type of thing that you're doing. Are you creating your own RPG? 1 second. Don't want to cough in people's ears. But are you making your own RPG? If you're making your own RPG, what Mike said is good. Like, reach out to your peers, reach out to the community. And it's good too, is like, ask them if they have the time to do it. Say, hey, like, I have this
Yeah.
RPG. Do you have the time to, read this in the next couple of weeks? Give them time to, especially during the pandemic. It's really hard. I know for a lot of us, we're doing a big struggle. So
Thrown
be
down cornmeal, by the way,
okay.
on my tray. You're gonna put the pizza on the cornmeal. Cornmeal makes the pizza better. Just saying. Sorry for interrupting, dear.
It's okay. Yeah, so one of the things too is like there are communities as well. If you missed the community content panel, it's a very good panel that happened yesterday. It's a great way to get into RPGs. There's like DM's Guild Dungeon that does Dungeons and Dragons. There's Miskatonic Repository, which is Chaosium. It's good practice too. But they have a lot of communities that have like editors and things like that who can kind of look over your work as well. So yeah, TLDR, rely on your communities, be cool.
Be cool.
Very important.
Be always important to be cool.
Because
this is the hard part. Wow! Look at it go. All right, we got it on there.
Okay.
Because I gotta get this bad boy in the oven. So
yeah.
It's not a perfect circle.
It's fine. It doesn't
Pizza
have to
doesn't have to be a perfect circle.
I know.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be. All right.
I'm
So
using some sweet mozzarella out of a bag because a certain someone decided to eat all the mozzarella.
I didn't eat all the mozzarella. You can't put fresh mozzarella in the fridge and expect it to be there. Anyway, we have 2 questions.
Okay, what's your questions?
Mark from Gehenna Gaming said, how do you get your work noticed when submitting a writing or art sample? And if you don't know anyone in the company or industry, that's a very good question. Because so for example, Onyx Path, I'm going to use Onyx Path because Mike and I both are freelancers at Onyx Path. We have a submission guideline form. Okay. Mm-hmm. Very important.
Follow the rules. I'm going to say this again. You're not that important to not follow the rules. You're not. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
I understand that we're creatives. Stop doing that. If a person says, hey, give me 500 words of story, 500 words of rules, do that. Don't go, well, I have this novel. I'm going to send that.
No, you want to follow the submission guidelines, which is very important. The thing about submission guidelines is a lot of companies get a ton of submissions. So something about that is you have to be patient, unfortunately. I know I'm not a patient person. Let's be real. Um, but you want to be patient. Look for open calls too. Open calls are really really big, and also it helps expand your resume as well, and it kind of gets you out there. Um, do not
Throwing a
contact.
little, sorry, I'm throwing a little salt on this, just so you
Do
know, because
not
we don't
con.
got any parm.
Oh yeah, we don't have Parmesan.
Yeah, so we're just ordered some parm, but we don't have
Yes, we did
parmesan.
from
So
the cheese people. They're the greatest place in the world, and they're local. But anyway, point though is that you definitely want to do the open calls, follow the submission guidelines. Don't harass people about your submission. That's a huge, huge turnoff. Um, and it's super, super important that you just keep going, keep moving. The other thing too that I always want to tell people is that in submission guidelines, you're going to get rejected. It happens. I've been
yep,
rejected. Mike's been rejected. A bunch of freelancers in this chat have been rejected,
yep.
and so it's
It's just
important.
part of the process.
It's important to remember that. And even we get rejected now too. Like
Yeah.
that's part of the process. Like it sucks and it's sad, but like you just kind of move on to the next point, which is
And
good.
and here's the thing. So you really believe in an idea, right? Isn't that cool? You have an idea for a game or whatever, like, and you got denied. Wow, that sucks, right? But the thing about it is that you could always hold on to that idea and use it for something else, or use create community content for it. So like if you actually really really believe in it, and you think it will stand on its own, that's great. Use throw it in community content.
Yeah. Andrea has a question. Oh,
Hey, Andrea.
I love Andrea. So question, as someone who deals with self-doubt of the quality or speed at which I produce work, should those concerns be kept to yourself or should I talk it out with the art director, developer, etc.? I will answer that because Andrea is one of mine actually.
Oh,
So
okay. Go for it.
communicate with your
Your
developers
developers.
or whoever you're in charge with, because here's the thing is all of us deal with things. I am very open about my anxiety. I have it. And it's very important to consistently keep in communication. Because I will absolutely 100% rehire an artist if they're like, hey, I'm so
Having a time.
sorry, I'm having a time. And you don't have to go into details. I don't need to know everything, but if you're just like, I'm having a time, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
we're
late. Let
HIPAA laws are a thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to fucking know.
Yeah.
It's not my problem. It's not my issue. I don't deserve to know. Like you, unless you trust me enough to tell me. Like if you're having a time, the person that's developing should also recognize that and understand that. So
Yeah.
developers out there, you also need to like bake that into your process.
Yeah. The other thing is too is I mean he's in the chat, so I'll just call him out. I did a fiction piece for Barker for They Came from Beyond the Grave, and I was in consistent communication with him where I was like, hey, a question about this, question about that. And then when funny this is a funny story. 2 days before
So
two
fun.
days before deadline, Mike and I were sleeping and I rolled over while he was rolling over and he jabbed me in the eye. So I couldn't see for 2 days. But I messaged Barker and I was like, hey, I am so sorry. But it was easy to talk to him because we already established a communication. And I have never spoken to Barker before this project. So it was very easy to just say, hey, and again, we're friends. So like it was okay for me to just be like, hey, I got jabbed in the eye by my husband. I will be 2 days
Sorry.
late. It's okay. It was an accident. Um, so that's super, super. Yeah, I'm literally blinded by Hollywood right now. That's
Lols.
poked my eye out. So
Also wash up as you go, friends.
yes, wash up as you go. It makes cooking easier and makes
Does.
dishes easier.
It does.
So yeah, so that's the short version is like, yes, be as communicative as possible. You don't have to give grueling details of your situation, but yeah, just talk, because again, we all understand if someone messages me and says, hey, I'm having a rough go, or I'm having like artist block or whatever, like I've been there. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
I want you to know that like if you come to me with that, that like I'm gonna go, okay, I get it. But if you write me and it's due at 11:59, you write me at 11:58, and you've been going
Or the
through
next
this
day, or a week later.
or ghosting, I will not rehire people who ghost. Um, and so that's kind of the big thing though, is that we um yeah, if you write me at 11:58 and you've been like, oh, I've been having writer's block for the past, or artist block or what have you, for the past 2 weeks, that means that you haven't written me in 2 weeks. If you write me and you're like, Meredith, I got in a car accident, like 100% those happen, like totally get it, don't worry about it, we'll work through it. But be in communication, don't ghost. I cannot express that enough. Do
Don't do
not
that.
ghost. I know it's scary. It's so scary sometimes. Trust me, I get scared too when I have to write my developers or my art boss sometimes, because I'm like, oh, this is like super, super scary. But like, just send the email, just talk to them, and that's super important. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, um, okay. Well, I want to get into something that's important
Well,
to.
is there any other questions? I mean,
No,
like,
not. Oh, just came in. Just came in. I just want to say that, like, just came in. Avis Rocket with the questions, and I'm loving it.
yeah.
Question: hypothetically, maybe for my first attempt at open call submissions, I didn't follow the rules and wrote something cringe. How long am I wearing the cap of shame? It was years ago for
Oh,
reference, but I have nightmares about it. Oh my goodness, it happens. It
yeah.
happens.
The first story submission that I wrote is not good. It was not good. It was not good. It came from a place of innocence, but it was like, we'll go looking back on it, I'm like, geez, that was bad.
Yeah,
That's not appropriate and super squicky. Um, learn from it.
acknowledge it,
Acknowledge it.
recognize
Um,
and grow from it too.
yeah. Know that it's okay. You're going to be fine. Make better work. Like, that's kind of what it boils down to. There's no like specific timeline. For some reason, there's this concept in the gaming industry that people think that it's like, oh, you're gonna get blackballed or you're gonna
No,
get whatever, and it's like, that doesn't really happen.
no,
It's that you just have to keep trying. And
yeah,
because it may feel like, oh, sorry, my cat just messed up our curtain, and so I got this like line of light now. um
banjo.
Banjo's sleeping and he flicked his tail and just moved the whole fucking curtain. It's great. I love
Yeah,
my cat. You're not gonna be. It's not forever.
yeah,
It's
it's
not. It's
temporary.
okay to. It's okay to acknowledge the things that, like, we are perpetual learners as human beings. We make mistakes. If we
Yep.
acknowledge the mistake and go, hey, sorry, didn't mean that. Moving forward, I'm going to work really hard to kind of do X, Y, or Z. Then great. I mean, like,
And
acknowledging and learning from your mistakes is the most important part. Sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, it's okay. And I think what's important is that like I look back on my I-20s, I look back on last week, and I'm like, oh goodness, I shouldn't have done that, or oh goodness, like maybe going forward, like I won't do that. Like it happens. And the thing is
Yeah.
that what matters the most is that um
Oh, it smells really good. I'm sorry.
yeah, what matters the most is that you like we said, you acknowledge it and you move from it. I think that the people that don't really make it in this industry is they keep making the same mistake over and over and are told, hey, this is not conducive, and they're like, well, whatever, I'm
And
gonna
then
do it.
continue to make that mistake.
Yeah.
That's
So
not okay.
um
I've made mistakes in the past too. I mean,
yeah,
I've like I've made like serious mistakes, but developers have been like, yo, don't do that. And I was like, hey, sorry, I'm gonna really, really work on that.
yeah,
Like, that it's part of self reflection and part of self awareness to recognize when you make a mistake and go, hey, sorry about that. And that's just life.
yeah. And I think
8:30 life bits,
yeah.
tidbits while we're making pizza. Again.
So I wanted to actually give a call out to one of your colleagues,
Oh yeah.
um John Burke.
Scott
um
Burke.
John Burke worked with you on Chicago by Night. Vampire the
Mhm.
Masquerade,
Mhm.
Cult of the Blood Gods,
Yes.
and then the book we that is announced that isn't announced.
I don't know if it's
Okay,
announced
I'll
or
let
not
John announce it.
announced.
Because he said, how annoying would it be if Bert kept asking questions so you couldn't get to talk about the thing that's important to you? But he gave some very, very good advice. Davis Rocket is one of the people that now reviews submissions because John is a developer. I can simply advise you to submit again as your work improves. We understand that people's abilities increase with experience, and what you submit one time is not the sum total of your entire life. Go again, follow the submission guidelines, and if your latest submission is brilliant, it'll be taken on its own merits. And he also mentions to also bear in mind the voice of the product you're looking at. For example, a submission I write for Vampire the Masquerade will not be revealing of my ability to write for They Came from Beneath the Sea, which is true. So, to talk about that in a more general term, when you're doing submissions, is make sure you know what you're submitting for and understand the genre, and understand that like what elements come into it. So,
Mhm. Also, like, as a writer, your process is going to change, right? Like, so like my process is very different when I'm writing horror. Like I intentionally freak myself out and like listen to creepy music and stare at the ceiling like I'm looking into oblivion, and because that's just a part of my process and whatever, as opposed to when I'm writing comedy or something like that where I'm going to
yeah.
be like, well, yeah, chuckle fuck, like I start riffing off people and things like
Mhm.
that. You you'll figure out what's best for you, but it's like it takes time to learn that process.
Yes. And the other thing too is like, because Erica brought up this question, Rosie Rexit. Should you do a submission for each line you'd want to work for so you can showcase your skill in those specific genres?
That's a really great question. It is recommended to do that.
Yeah,
But that takes a lot of time
it
and
takes a
effort.
lot of time.
And so you kind of have to prioritize what you believe would be the things that you want. And also you can, in your cover letter or in your, or, any kind of communication, be like, hey, this is for this.
Yeah.
I'm just putting my hat in the ring. And then you got to let it just be up to the company.
Mhm.
I applied for Geist when I first started freelancing. I worked on They Came From, um, and Matthew Dawkins, was very much like, hey, try out for Chicago. And he had told me in the past, he was like, I like your voice for this thing. I would like to continue having you try to work on that thing if I
Mhm.
need to. And I was like, well, thanks, man. Like I
Yeah,
appreciate that. So um, it's just you'll find your strengths and weaknesses.
you really, really
You know,
will. Yeah.
I'm not particularly fond of rules. I'm just not. I like story, but when I do my rules, they're very, very storyline oriented
Yeah.
because I feel like that's a place that's been missing for players like me. You'll find your little pet projects and pet things that you like that make up you. Um, and like, the things that you want to say in your writing, uh, that's important. And you
Yeah.
got to figure out how to do that. So
Yeah.
check that out.
So, two questions.
Okay.
Wes asked, "How are y'all doing today?" We are
Holy
good. We're a
fuck, it's
little
early.
tired, so
Dude,
cheers.
I was playing Chicago by Night. I ran Chicago by Night last night until like 11. The team I was with, there was someone who'd never played Vampire before, and I got to run a game for them. It was so exciting.
Yeah,
But I am very tired.
yeah. Um, let's see. Mark had a question. How do you get in the zone to write or do art on your game light that doesn't really get you super excited? So, I,
Uh,
as the assistant art director at Onyx Path, I will go to the developer if I know them, and I'm like, "Tell me all about your game." And that gets them so hype and so excited, and then I get hype and excited. And usually they'll say like I was doing something for Ian A. Watson for Trinity, and he was like, here's some movies you can check out, like here, like, and just was so thrilled, and that really invigorates me. Also, I have an advantage that my artists invigorate the heck out of me because they always surprise me. Like, I know these artists are good, that's why I hire them, but like every time I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like that's so good. That's way better than I ever expected. And I'm invigorated by that too. So that's something that's helpful with something you're not really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, talk to the people around you.
Yeah,
That
talk to your
riffing
teams.
and talk to your teams, like, have that communication. Um, that helps. It really does, because you go, hey, I'm kind of feeling blah.
Yeah,
Talk to me about this,
yeah.
please, someone.
Talk to your
That
teams.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
And it kind of helps you. It might help you put the pieces together in a way that you never saw before. It
yeah,
might help. It might help you kind of understand a concept better. Yeah, understanding other people's ideas of those concepts might kind of give you a different flair and excitement. Um, yeah,
yeah,
hope that helps.
yeah.
Also try to like rekindle that love. There's there was times there have been times when I've writing on projects that I'm just like, oh, because life is hard. It's like,
Mhm.
oh fuck life. I don't want to write right now, even though I love this thing.
Yeah,
It just like, go back and remember the things that you love about gaming and the things you love about design.
yeah. 100%,
You
hundred and
know,
20%.
kind
Absolutely.
of go, why do I do this? Why do I get into, like, and remember those core kind of issues. Again, self-reflection and self, like, kind of analyzing in that kind of context is kind of helpful. So
Ooh, this is a really, really good question. Um, this is from, oh my gosh,
we
hold on.
like last question, because I gotta start talking about stuff.
I know. Dia Sobre Sale. Dia Sobre Sale. I'm saying this wrong, and someone's gonna be like, "This is the easiest thing to say." Question. I know it's gauche, but could I, but could I ask about making ends meet as a freelancer or startup? How do you
Sure.
know how much to charge? Okay, if you would like
Ma-
to answer this, you can, but I can answer this from a drive-through perspective if you'd like.
you go ahead and do it from driver perspective, and I'll do it from a freelancing perspective.
So one of the things, again, I highly, highly recommend the community content panel that happened yesterday. They do talk about pricing. In terms of how do you,
How
so
do you make it?
this is what I do in terms of pricing. So I will go to, like I look at other people who are like the same profession as me, whether it's a social media, coordinator or expert or photographer or graphic designer, what have you. I will always look around and see what their prices are and kind of base it on my expertise. So like if it's somebody, who's like, example, my social media mentor, she costs about 1,500 an hour. But she also has been in the business for 20 years. She works for a massive major company. Like she has the ability to do that. So obviously I would
That
scale that back just a
Look at
little bit.
that. Look at that bad boy. Oh man.
Oh, up a little higher, up a little higher,
Oh, here.
up higher.
Look
Yeah.
at that. Yeah, pizza.
Look at that boy. Look at
He's
that.
a thick boy.
He's a thick boy. Um, but the other
It's
thing
shaped like a coffin. Yeah.
but
Oh,
the other
metal.
but the other thing too is that if that's in terms of pricing or freelancing, just like kind of look around you and adjust and feel the waters. You're gonna have situations where you're gonna charge someone and they're gonna be like, "That's too much," and it might not be too much. Know your worth. It takes time to figure that out,
Yeah,
and you will
that's the
figure it out.
eternal struggle.
In terms of like what you should be charging for your RPG, drive through RPG on medium.com/one blog shelf. We do have pricing guides for what you should be pricing based on the market. It's a lot of data crunch numbers, which is really, really good. So I will move it to Mike because Mike, so you went from freelancer to
Dude.
owning your own publishing company, which we can kind of move into because we want to talk about and tease your new upcoming game, which is coming up.
Yeah, we do. So, by the way, have a basil plant in your house. They just like sunlight and occasional water. It's really easy. They're also they don't hurt cats or anything like that, and they smell good. And it's good on pizza.
Mhm.
So just so you know, um, and you could buy them in most like grocery stores. And then you just take it and you just like rip it up, like get the leaves off of the twigs, right? Here you
Yeah.
go, like that, and just kind of rip it up and throw it on your pizza. It's really, really good. So freelancing, right, and making it. Here's the deal. Sorry, I'm sniffling because it's early in the morning. So here's the deal about. I'm not gonna lie. I work my regular job like a normal person, and then at nighttime I freelance. There is no shame in this. There is no shame in working a regular ass job while you freelance. Um, what I did, and this is my model, is that all the money I had from freelancing, a good chunk of it, I saved. And I saved it for a while because what I wanted to do was use that money for something special. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I realized later on I was like, I want to start up my own company. It's something I've always wanted to do. Just like always, like I was like, I don't know what I want to do with this company, but I know I want my own company. And then I was like, well, I stumbled into freelancing and stumbled into writing, and I was like, well, why don't I have my own company? So I saved that money and I threw it into an LLC, and which costs on LegalZoom, if you're in the great state of Illinois, it costs about with all the bells and whistles, it costs approximately $1,500. And most of that money came from freelancing. And then I started up my company, and while that was processing and going on, I was writing my own book. I was writing Sunset, which is the book that I'm doing testing on right now and trying to see if it works. And that's kind of how I did it. I mean, like there are more than the ways that I can tell you, to be honest, on how to make it during freelancing. I mean, like you can work a job, you can work, look for, technical writing jobs, look for, freelancing positions all over the place. I mean, this is a small industry. It's you count yourself very, very lucky if you can make it full time as a writer.
Yeah, I was going to jump in actually to that. That a lot of my clients at DriveThruRPG this is their some people do make it their full-time hustle, 100%. And that's companies like Artellosorian, Chaosium, Cubicle 7, people who have been around for quite some time and have built these companies after a while. It takes a lot of time. And that's okay. I personally, I think that, and everyone's going to probably, everyone's gonna be like, oh, Meredith. For me, I think that you make it in freelancing when um, when you're doing what you love. Like really, you're not just, doing all these open calls just to get in. Like you produce something that you really put a lot of heart and soul into and show off your skills. I think that is the most important. I mean, Mike did Chicago by Night. Like you had a bunch of, you had freelancing gigs before that, but like Chicago by Night was when you're like, oh my gosh, holy crap. You know what I mean? Which is really, really good. So
yeah, it's my first big project.
yeah.
I've had big projects since then, and some projects I had to say no to.
Yep.
Unfortunately, because I was going through the pandemic is also messes with your mental health. Like I'm just going to take a minute to say this: be kind to yourselves during this time.
100%.
Like, for fuck's sake, like if you're not cranking out content like you usually do, that's fucking okay.
Yep.
It's okay. It's also okay to go, hey, it's hard. This is hard. Like, I need a break or whatever. Like, I had to let go of a few contracts and just be like, hey, I needed to take time for myself. And then I was able to process and take time for myself and heal, like, because it's like a mental flu, right? And kind of go, all right, I feel better. What can I do? Oh, I'm going to start my own company. I have this extra money lying around. I got paid for other contracts. Okay, I think it's time. It's a natural progression to this. That you'll know if it feels right, then do it. If you're fucking hurting yourself trying to slam out words, stop. take
Yeah.
a fucking break. Just take a break. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Be nice to yourself, I think is so very valid and important here, because you I always tell people, like, yes, 100%. You can churn out a million words a day, but if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to write out a million words a day for long,
Yep.
because you're going to make yourself sick, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that's not okay, at all. Like,
Just
you
like
have to take breaks. You have
work-life
to,
balance.
yeah, you have to. And it's okay. And the other thing too is, like, you can always pick it back up. I think that's another thing, is that people are like, if I'm not creating, I'm like, why am I a writer? Like, I will tell you right now that both Mike and I, as freelancers, and our friends who are as freelancers, have put freelancing down before, and that's okay. Take your time. You should be having fun with it. Like, yeah, you make money and, like, you get to make content, but, like, have a good time while doing it. Like,
Yep.
you have to. I mean, like, because then you're gonna hate it. So,
Yeah, and
um,
that's like why, like that's the thing is that, like, if you get to the point where you hate gaming because you're writing, what the fuck are we doing, right? I
yeah,
mean, this is we're literally making games. We're making games, y'all.
yeah,
Like if you're burnt out and hating the fact that you're making games, something has to change then.
yeah.
You gotta take a break, or you gotta, kind of be okay with yourself
Mhm.
and love on yourself a little bit. It's okay. That kind of
So,
thing.
definitely, since you brought that up, and Mark has been asking in chat, and we are gonna get to it. Um,
Yes.
we're gonna talk
Because
about sunset.
we only got 15 minutes.
We
So
can do
let's
it.
get to it.
My first thing I wanted to end on was, if you're a freelancer out there, I want you to know you're doing your best, and, like, you're gonna get through it. And I
Just
know
try your
it's
best.
tough and scary and a big journey, but just keep going. Learn from your mistakes. Just keep doing what you love, and, and be communicative, and be involved in the community, and be cool, and you'll be surprised what
Oh,
happens. But you
yeah.
can do it. Like, you really, really can. I absolutely 100% believe in you, and Mike does too.
Yeah, I do. And we've been doing this for years, and with other people too that have been doing it for years, and they still have these doubts and still have these questions and still have struggles and still learn. So that process doesn't end.
No.
It's okay that that it's still going and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Which is, I mean, like, I'm learning about it by making my own fucking game. So there
Yeah.
you go. Look at that. So Sunset. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Hold
Um.
on.
Oh,
We have
okay.
one more
I'm
question.
stuck. Oh,
One more
okay.
question. It's from
Jeez.
Wes.
Oh,
Um,
Wes. Gosh.
what are good signs to look out for, as a greenhorn freelancer, that a project or company is going to be conducive to your mental health while also growing your portfolio? What are good
Number one,
signs to
they
look out for?
pay you.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge
Never,
one.
ever, 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 ever give your work away for free, other than like a submission. But submissions shouldn't be like make 3,000 words and edit this document.
Yep.
No, it should be like around 1,000 words and or like a little story or something along those lines. It shouldn't be that you're giving away 10,000 or an entire contract's worth of words for free. Do not do that.
The other thing too is that, being paid looks different. Some, because a lot of people are like, oh, like, they didn't pay me money, but, like, you know, look at what that means. Like, look and see what they're giving you, as opposed to, like, they're paying you, because sometimes they might not pay you in dollars. They might be paying you in something else. So definitely check into that. Another thing too that is very important is that you for me, if, people are not communicative, like, they don't want to, like, be communicative, like, if your developers don't want to be communicative, what have you, like, that's another sign. Also checking out, like, I personally, one of the things that's really, really big too is, I mean, like, how much are they investing in you, like, in this terms, like, are they just like, here's this contract, do 1,500, I don't care. Like, okay, like, that might be a turn off possibly, but, like, we'll see. I think that it's important to also, like, look up, John Burke says this, and I think it's very important. Look up the studio that you're working for.
Yeah.
Look up the news that they've had come out about them. It's important. People make mistakes, companies make mistakes all the time, but it's very important to see where they're at now. So definitely look into that, look into their history as well. It's like doing like a job interview, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to
Also,
research.
I'm gonna stop you for a second. Take everything you read on the internet with a fucking grain of salt.
Oh, for sure. I'm not saying that if one person tweets that Little Twin Gaming is the worst company ever, like that's not
And I'd be like,
set
"Well,
in
get
stone.
fucked."
That's not set in stone. But like I said, check news, check their websites, and like check to just how they feel. And if they don't feel good, like they don't feel good. Don't push yourself. And the one thing that Mike the- being paid something is very important, but the most important thing, sign a contract.
Yeah, sign a
Sign a
contract.
contract. If they don't have a contract, then you can send them one. There are tons available, but that's so important because we have friends who have been screwed out of 40,000 words for not signing because they didn't sign a contract. They didn't get paid, but they didn't sign a contract, and that sucks. So like that's
Sign
important.
those contracts, yo.
Sign your contracts. Very, very important. All right. Okay. We're going. We're going to talk about Sunset. I'm pushing
Okay,
through.
cool. Thank you. All right,
You're
cool.
welcome.
I was gonna say. All right. So, Little Twin Games is putting out its first game. We're in the process of putting it out. It's going to be a rules light, hope punk kind of horror game. Um, so it is going to be very a la kind of the Morkborg rules style, but it's kind of a homebrewed, my own system, obviously. But like, that was one of the things that kind of influenced it because I love that kind of style. I love rules light because I think it provides easier ways for people to get into gaming.
Mhm.
And then you could work your way up into the crunchy valley of whatever, GURPS or something. And those games are great too. It's just they're not my style, that kind of thing.
Scott
So
Kurtz.
it's got GURPS. I wanted, so I wanted to make a game about that. And so basically, what Sunset is about is that you are a person that's dying, and you, because of the way that you're dying, either by by Alzheimer's or perhaps some other way that is eating away your brain, basically people believe that that's what that disorder or disease is. And what in reality it is that you can travel through time in your own life to try to make your life a little bit better, and make changes in your life. Try to fix, not fix, but like reevaluate some of your life choices or the lies that you told in your life or the things along those lines in your existence. So you get to travel through time and mess around with things, and it's super fun. We play tested it, and it worked out swimmingly. I did get some excellent feedback from friends. Again, freelancing, steel, sharpen steel. Talk to your friends, get stuff back from them, right? That kind of thing. I will be play testing once we get it a little bit more on Gehenna Gaming. So stay tuned for that. I know that like Gehenna Gaming wants to do something. I've also talked with other people to play test it on their streams and things along those lines. It is very exciting to write my own game for the first time.
Mhm.
It's very intense, but every writer, if you ever get to the point where you feel like you have a story that's worth the money that goes into it, because I mean, again, I put a significant amount of money into this company with no return at all yet. And that's okay. That's part. Remember, you're investing in yourself. You're
Yep.
investing in your company. It's really, really good. Been a great learning experience. It kind of makes you realize and learn about how much actually goes into a role-playing book, how much editors cost, how much layout designers cost, how much art costs, how much your writing costs. It makes you reappreciate all those things. But it's a really exciting process and a really exciting book. I don't know, Mare, can you show did we figure out a way to show the?
I'm gonna post it on the Facebook, and then I'm
Okay.
gonna on the Little Twin Gaming's Facebook, and then um I will share it in the Twitch chat.
Oh man.
Yeah. So a quick thing too while I'm doing this. So one thing that Mike is experiencing, and it's very positive, while we do playtesting is that there is going to be a time in your freelancing career where you are going to we live by a train, everybody. There is a time in your career where you are going to get feedback. Right now, um, Mike is receiving feedback in the form of playtesting.
Mhm.
There
And
is
it's a very important process to do. Play test your games.
there is healthy and non-healthy
Yep.
as the best way to put it, because um, this is true too for freelancers too, because when you're critiquing, it's important. There's a difference between me playing Mike's game and going, this game sucks, and then
That's not helpful.
that's it. Why does it suck? um, I always follow Eddie Webb's rule, which is the threefold rule, which is, what do you like, what do you not like, what would you change? And that's really helpful to do and ask when you're doing playtesting. It's also helpful in your constructive criticism. I say constructive, it's so important. And also when you
Don't
get
bash people's stuff. It doesn't fucking help. It doesn't help. And also, if you've never played a game, if you've never made a game, and you go, I could do this better, and fuck you. Come on, bud. Like, that's not helpful. It's not positive. It's not conducive. It's doesn't make the games better. Like,
it's,
you know.
and the thing that I wanted to point out the most too is when you get feedback, it's not personal. That's important too, like when you're working with developers, or you're working on your own stuff. Like, it's your developers and your peers for the most part. I don't know your peers, but your peers for the most part are there to help you. It's not personal. They're not. It's not a personal attack. It's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is that there's two relationships that you have in this industry, which is you have a business relationship and you have a professional or a personal relationship. They're two different things, and so it's not an attack against you. If somebody's like, hey, I read your book, it was really good, but like, here are some things like that I personally didn't like and why. Like, they're just trying to help you. Be cool.
Yes.
Reveal during virtual horror con exclamation point, coming soon exclamation point, post.
So we're posting the cover right now. Mara made the art. Mara's made a lot of the art for the book because she's an excellent artist. A lot of the art is in the style of taking old diagrams of things, because art is free out there if you look in the right places, friends that are freelancers that are making their own books. There's a lot of stuff that's in the public domain that you can take and use and just credit in your books.
Unsplash.
Unsplash is a good thing. So we're taking art, modifying it, and putting it into our book so that we can, one, make really good, still have really good art, but two, also have making money on it, you know, that kind of thing, because we need to make money, right? That's why we put this stuff out.
Yeah.
So a lot of the old diagrams are kind of modified in the colors that are a major part of the game. What we also have is part it calls the prism track. Basically, because you are losing your memories to mess around in time, you can slowly but surely lose yourself as you unravel, basically. Hence the strong connection to dementia and Alzheimer's within this product. As you're losing those memories, though, you're cutting off parts of yourself, and you're losing connection to those to those areas of your mind, and that's called going down the prism. Eventually, it will go down to darkness, to nothing, and then you would have your time to talk to death or fight death. You could punch death right in the mouth, just bam, right there, if you want to do that. But of course, it's more of a game that's, you know, working together with your team, with your weave, with your group, and trying to figure out how all of you can kind of get your second chance, or go to the end goal of your religion, or just say, fuck this, I'm done, or any ending that you really want, but it has to be within the context of your character, obviously. So it's a really exciting process and a really exciting book. Let's put it this way, it was the first idea I ever had where I was like, I'm going to put money on this. And if you have an idea that you can put money on, then you know you got a good idea.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And Mike has, I have to also note too, like Mike will, I love Mike to death, but like always
thanks.
for
I love you too. Jeez.
but one of my things that I love about him is like he'll like come in the bedroom and he'll be like, okay, I have an idea. And like he's so excited and it's so cool. And then we kind of like work together. And that's type of thing that like also is important about your peers too, is like, hey, I have this idea. Like, what do you think? You know, and that's use your community. We talk about this 100 times over. So but it's very fun. And the artwork, back to the artwork for Sunset, I'm having a very good time with it. It's so tough because right now we're in playtesting, and so like things obviously are changing all the time. And so
Yeah,
that's
Mare, for example, made this really, because so the system is called Hugin and Mugen. It's the thought and memory system, from a la the Norse mythology of Hugin and Mugen, and it's a roll keep system. And Mare made this really awesome art piece with two fucking ravens and like blood and other stuff, and it was like, this is so cool. And then Mare was like, nah, I don't think it should be that. I think it should be this. And she made another piece that is going to be in the book that is just as fucking rad and super fucking cool. So
Ian says he wants to see the art. Well, we'll see.
we could post some of it. We have some of it. We'll post some of it.
It's exciting. Also, too, what I really like is while designing this, one of the things that we are paying attention to is the art style. I want to make sure it is something that we can. Oh, did you show him your sticker? I got you.
Oh, here, yeah. So Mare actually made a sticker. So we're going to start selling these so you can actually get them.
I wanted to make sure that the design was something that was I'll see. And also it's a clear, which is really awesome too. Mike hasn't put it on anything yet, but he will.
No, because it's anxiety inducing putting a fucking sticker on something.
I know. So one of the things though is that we wanted to make sure that this art was A, modern, B, there's nothing wrong with not modern, caveat.
Oh, for gosh sakes.
I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure.
You got a minute. You don't got to worry about hurting someone's feeling about non-modern art. Monet isn't going to walk in the room and be like, "What the fuck, man?" It's not a thing that's going to happen.
We wanted to make sure it was modern art. We wanted to make sure that it was something that people, that was clear and clean. That's the big thing for us, is that all the title fonts are very, very clear. They're very clean. It's not messy, and so we're pretty excited. So yeah. All right. Okay. So
a minute for questions.
Oh, okay.
No? All right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and like I said, I posted that in the chat. Also, I'm going to post Mike. You can find what he is doing the best for Little Twin on Facebook. But here is his website as well, which is mftomasek.com. Mike, would you like to do an outro for us, please? And then I'll do my outro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Hi, Mike Tomasek. Thanks for watching us make fucking pizza and talk about my game. Also, go out and support our friends at Onyx Path Publishing. They put out they made the recipe that we did today. They're really fucking great, and I highly recommend you supporting them as well. Again, check us out at Little Twin Games or Little Twin Publishing. You can find us on Facebook. There's Mare put the link in the Twitch, and I highly recommend that you too eat pizza in the morning. It's really good. So there you go.
Before I go on my outro, very important, if you're watching Virtual HorrorCon, they are supporting two charities this year, Black Girls Code and Blind Cat Rescue and Sanctuary. You can donate, which is really, really wonderful.
Please do that.
Where can we get pics and reviews of the pizza? I will go ahead and post that on my Twitter. My Twitter is Meredith Gerber. My name's literally below, so you can just follow me on Twitter, and I will go ahead and post that. You can also find me at meredithgerber.com for my photography and graphic design. And then also in half an hour, I'll be doing a panel with my Drive-Thru RPG coworkers. So that's going to be really fun to do if you want to stick around for that.
Yep. And if you want to talk more about game development, I'm going to be doing the Soup to Nuts panel. I highly recommend you jumping in on that. I think there's a few spots lthere left too. So
there are spots left. You can sign up. I mean, up until I think like 10 minutes before it starts. Mike will be jamming with some friends on talking about how to make games from soup to nuts, which is really, really awesome. And if you want to see Mike and I again together, we will be rocking out tomorrow night at 8
Jurassic Park.
8 p.m. For Jurassic Park Alien. We're pretty excited about that. Nick from Gehenna Gaming will be running that for us, and we're also going to be with Wes. And if you haven't talked to Wes, he will be in chat all this week. He's wonderful. And so is Nick. And so it's going to be really fun. We have outfits. It's going to be a good time. So thank you so much for joining us. And definitely, like I said, give Mike's stuff a check out. And hopefully
Thanks, y'all.
we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great morning.
Bye, y'all. Have a good rest of your commencement.
Bye.
Bye.